All right. Hey, Dorvin's at Sean, so you can't see anything because I'm pitch black. Holy. How's it
Just
going?
the outline of your
Yeah, right. Just my face.
Your incredibly white face.
All right, let me. All right, we go. That's a little better. Oops.
Works. That's much better.
All right, so we're gonna be doing this one a little bit different than we have done in the past. I'm gonna actually be setting some stuff up, and we're gonna talk about some stuff because. Hey, damn, Draco, what's up, man? Welcome.
Oh, that didn't take long.
Just stopping to say hi, yeah. What's going on, man? Thanks for being on point. Holy shit. I literally clicked the button a second ago and you're like, here, ready. What's up? But we're gonna be sending some.
Okay.
So how's it going, man? How's your night? I need the shit.
Hold on.
Thank you.
To the home. There we go. Did you get it? I think that's it. Yeah.
Oh, we're still in the same call.
I was gonna say too. It's sitting right there in the chat.
It's just right there. I mean, just
look.
Just open your eyes. Just do it.
Just look once in a while.
God. It's behind the scenes right here.
Yeah, right.
So fun.
Ooh.
We'll be discussing. Moment.
What's up? I just noticed. I apparently wasn't paying attention, but I just noticed that Dracon's in the.
Yeah, you can dunk him. You can hear. Your camera's going like this, man.
Is it really?
Yeah. Well, it stopped now, but for a second there was like, "What's up? How you doing?" Yeah, right there.
Oh yeah, it's my fucking table. I gotta try and not. I won't be using the mouse anymore, so I shouldn't be slamming down on the table. For some reason, I'm an.
Are you sure about that?
I'm an incredible. Oh god, yeah, I'm an incredible oaf when it comes to using a mouse. So maybe it won't be as bad until I start getting super angry. And this table just might get flipped over and everything.
All right, almost done.
Mm-hmm.
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 I usually do this before my normal streams. Time to get not that group of people here.
Who knows? Maybe people enjoy us coming to watch us shit all over this episode.
Maybe. You would think I would have seen them in the comments of the previous.
Hey, Hunts is here, and there's a bunch of people
Oh,
here now.
Oh, we got a bunch of people. Shit, I'm not even looking at chat. Hold on. I'm almost done.
Yeah, there's quite a. The Resman is here, and Hunts is here.
Oh, shit. What's going on, guys? Yes, I am on YouTube. We're doing something a little bit different tonight. We're going to be going over Game of Thrones and what. With beards and theories.
Bears. You know it, Hunts.
Bears.
Gotta represent my bears. Because apparently the side of my head is going in extremely gray, so I gotta hide it with my hat.
I don't know about all that, but all right.
Well,
let's get this show on the road. What do
you?
All right. Yeah. Forgot it. If you can't tell, Butchers and I are not exactly pleased with this.
Oh, not exactly pleased is very kindly.
All right.
Being very kind.
Well, we are Beards and Theories. We are going to be discussing the 5th episode, The Bells, of
Mm.
Game of Thrones Season 8. Probably one of the most controversial episodes they put out in a while. But we're gonna try and keep it civil. Try to keep
Try.
it civil.
I'll keep my anger to a minimum.
I refuse to wear the armor tonight. Too much dishonorable bullshit going.
Yep,
But anyways,
and I agree.
that's
Well,
some foosball questions. All right, well, maybe at the end. Maybe at the end. All right, so I'm just gonna keep going the way we've been doing. I just go by play. It's the pieces that I think are important. A lot of farewells tonight.
oh
So
yes, that's
there's gonna
true.
be a lot of little pieces that I throw out there that might not be exactly important to the story, but it's the last few times we see these characters, and I feel like they were important enough that they need to be talked about.
Yep.
And we're gonna start with Varys because I feel like he definitely earned his mark in the I mean, not even the season,
Absolutely.
but the show itself, because
Oh
he's
yeah, he's
one of
been there
those,
since the beginning.
right? All right, so we open up with Varys writing his notes to, we don't really know yet, but we have to assume the North and the various aspects, the lords of the Seven
Yeah,
Kingdoms, because as we know from the last episode, he was openly discussing treason and the
yeah,
fact that Jon should be leading them, not Daenerys. So
yeah.
after that, a lovely little child walks in named Martha. That I have no idea who that is, and I'm probably missing something. But he seems to be like training her to like collect information because he like gave her like a little what do you say? The greater the risk, the greater the reward. Like he's teaching her little things about being useful, I guess.
I got something completely different out of that.
Really? Oh, what'd you think?
Because he comes in, right?
Right?
And he asks if she's done it or whatever. He said, like he asked, "Did you do it?" or whatever. And she says, "I tried, my lord, but she's not eating anything. She works in the kitchen." I think he was trying to have her poisoned
You think?
because, she works in the kitchen and all of a sudden he's writing a letter to her, in writing in there her true heir is, I think he was trying to kill her, is what I was doing, is really what I got out of that. He was using the little girl from the kitchen, the greater, with that whole, the greater the risk, the greater the reward. And what's a greater risk than assassinating a queen or, poisoning a queen? So,
Okay. I see. I thought of that too. I was thinking like maybe he was trying to poison her, but do I
but
really think
then,
that Varys would do that? But then he said multiple occasions that he'd be willing to do anything
yeah.
for the people.
And
So
the other thing that kind of made me think that was when she said the Unsullied were starting to watch her, like they
right.
were watching what she was doing now. So that's what kind of led me to believe that, she was sent in there to poison her.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely. That's definitely a possibility because, like
yeah,
you said, she's from the kitchen. He was talking to her in almost cryptic like not messages, but like uh questionable content, basically. Like he's like telling her like the greater the risk, greater the reward. Why would he say that to someone who was
right.
just bringing her food? Um, but I don't know. It can go either way. But that was
Yeah,
just that was the first scene.
yeah.
Um, and then it flips right to Varys walking through. Yeah, no problem, Panda. No worries. Um, just in case. Yeah, we get into definitely. Okay, you can't even hear what I'm saying, so definitely get into spoilers. All right. So then we switch over to Varys walking down the beach with Jon as he arrives. After he's given him the information about how the Northmen and the majority of their ground forces are in what 2 days out. He said,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and they basically talking more, and Varys basically opens up and says, "Listen, I think that you need to be king." Like he just like blatantly came out with it because I'm pretty sure he knows his time is coming. And he says one kind of like, it was an interesting quote that I love because it was kind of like riddle-ish and whatnot, and very Varys like. But it was, every time a Targaryen is born, the gods flip a coin and the people hold their breath.
I like that. Yeah, that was a nice line that they had in there.
Because I mean, it's true. Because like there was many Targaryens. Some were crazy. Some were okay. And it's like I said, just flipping a coin. Which side are you gonna get? You're gonna get the dragon, or you're gonna get the not dragon? the kindness.
Yeah, the breaker of chains.
Yeah, exactly.
The last 5 seasons or whatever, 3 seasons.
Yeah, but I think that's really important because it's right now you're seeing both sides of the coin. You're seeing Jon and Dany.
He's saying that because he thinks Dany is the the evil and Jon's the good.
Well, that technically is not though, because he said that he doesn't know where Dany's coin lands, but he knows where Jon's is. So he's betting on the guy that he thinks he knows well enough to make that.
Yeah, and I think that Jon falling on the good side had to do with him being raised by Eddard Stark. Not so much. He just, he's a good Targaryen. He had a good upbringing by an honorable man. So Jon's very much an honorable person.
Absolutely. And Eddard was I always want to call him Eddard because I'm so used to that name instead of to Neddard. But he is by far the most honorable person in this entire story.
Oh, easily.
And we met him in the first. Well, we never got past the first season with him.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Almost anybody that ever meets a Stark child or Jon Snow, that is the first thing they say about him is, your father was the most honorable person I've ever met. Yeah. So that really has Jon Snow is the way he is. I mean, when that's your role model, it's kind of hard not to be an honorable person. It's just instilled into him since he was very little. Where Dany had her lunatic brother, that's all she really had growing up was the lunatic, whatever it is, I can't even. Viserys.
What was Viserys?
Yeah, and we know how that turned out, but it's kind of like and I was listening to somebody else on their review, and they made the comment that it's amazing how much in this episode she looked like her brother from the first season when he started going crazy with the bags under her eyes and the real
oh, absolutely,
thin face, like she was going in the direction he went in the first season. So,
and we see that in a scene coming up too. Like so actually the next scene, do you have anything else you want to add before we move on to the next part?
No.
Okay. So we move into, they're sitting in the war room again, of course, because they make all like the major scenes in the war room these days.
Yeah.
And it's Tyrion and Dany, and like Tyrion, like when Tyrion knows something that someone else doesn't, and he knows it's going to hurt them or affect them, he always has a certain way of presenting the information where he's very soft-spoken but very direct, and like I respect the hell out of him for it because he's had to do it so many times. But he basically tells him that she's been betrayed, and he knows that he had a tie into it. But then he goes into like, and she immediately thinks it's Jon Snow, and he's like, "No, it's Viserys, or not Viserys. Jesus, it's Varys."
Yeah.
And she's like, "But you told him that, yeah, and Sansa told you, yeah, and Jon told her, yeah." Jon betrayed me. It's like, this is bing, 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 his fault.
In a roundabout way, Jon did, but Varys went out of his way, though, to really try to, implant in Jon Snow's head that he should be the rightful ruler. And this is where I think that this is also one of the reasons I think he was trying to poison her.
Okay.
Because otherwise, killing Varys really for talking to Jon when Tyrion also was telling people about this and Sansa was telling people about this.
That's not the reason she killed him. She killed him because he spread it further. And he deliberately, I'm sure that he was sending it to people who had influence, whereas, like, Jon told his sisters because they're family. That's fine. That's honorable to an extent. He's respecting his family. And then the fact that Sansa told Tyrion, I think that was deliberate, because exactly what Danny says in this point, that Sansa knows, or Sansa trusts that you will spread this information. That's why she told you.
But in the same way she looks at it as, he's spreading it even further. Well, technically, Sansa spread it even further to Tyrion, and Tyrion spread it even further to Varys. So if neither one of them would have spread it to the other person, Varys would never have, gone,
True.
Oh, hey, here's the real king.
But it also comes down to need, too. She can't kill Sansa. She doesn't want the North to turn against her. She can't kill Jon. She doesn't want everyone to turn against her. She can't kill her hand yet because she needs him. Right. Varys is kind of just another advisor, and he's one that she can easily take advantage of to prove a point. That she's not afraid to kill someone close to her because of betrayal.
I get that, but to me, it just feels like this was a way to basically, this is Varys leaving the show, Could
be too. I mean, you see that a lot in shows where they they have something else going on, they just want to get off it.
I also kind of read an interview with the guy that plays him, and he goes, honestly, the last 2 seasons, what has my character really done on the show?
He's become a yes man, basically.
And that's what he said. He goes, I haven't had much to do the last 2 seasons, so
the biggest problem with him is that they established trust with him. The best part of his character was that we didn't know where he stood for the first 5 seasons. So we're like, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? And they're like, nope, he's on board with Danny. We're like, oh, okay, so he's just a spy master now. Like this,
and that's why the Littlefinger character was so good, because you never knew where he stood.
Exactly, and that's the same. Those two were in the same boat.
But his character had to, you had to kill him, because he would have just kept playing people against each other. Where Varys was basically, he was set where he was going to be.
Right.
There was no more manipulating anybody. For the last couple of seasons, up until this season, he was straightforward, a Danny supporter. Mm-hmm. Technically, if you go back and you watch it from the beginning, he's always been a Danny supporter. In the first season, they show those scenes where he's talking to the one guy from Pentos or whatever, and they're talking about what they need to do to get her ready, with her Dothraki to come over here. But yeah, he's been real. His character hasn't really developed after season 4. After he freed Tyrion from the jail and put him on that boat, there hasn't really been any more character development for him.
Well, that's where they established that he was trustworthy, and then that's basically where his character died for me, because at that point he just became another character in there that has knowledge, but doesn't really serve a purpose.
The last couple of seasons, when he came on the screen, you really just hit, oh well, here we go. We're going to have me on the screen that's going to be very eloquent and talk, for 5 minutes, and that's it. I mean, he really didn't add much to the story.
Avenue for information,
right?
But and then they pan back to almost identical scene, but at night, of Varys writing another note. And this time the door opens more abrupt, and he hears multiple people walking down the hallway, and while it's going on, he burns the letter that he's writing and then takes off his rings. That part kind of threw me for a loop. I know it stands for something, and it's probably something I missed. So if anyone out there is watching this in the future, if you know what it is, put it in the comments and let me know. I'll be taking a look at these. But
I got the feeling on that it was he knew they were coming for him.
Oh, absolutely. But why take the rings off though? That's what I'm curious about.
That I don't.
They made it very apparent that he took his rings off and put them in the cup, and then that was it. Like he didn't say, like he wasn't like, he didn't pray, he didn't put on his shoes, like he didn't do anything else other than take his rings off and accept his fate. Like most people would do something, like maybe start crying, whatever. But he took his rings off and then.
Back in the day, I watched a lot of mafia movies, and whenever it came to somebody was going to get killed, like they knew they were going to die, they always took off their valuables, and stuck them in on the table or whatever. I don't know what, and this is one of my problems with this episode is they do a bunch of things where they focus on it, but what was the point of focusing on it?
Well, that's why I think that this final episode is going to tie in. What my theory is on this, and this is why I brought it up, I think the rings were to pay the girl.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Because now that you're talking about poisoning her, like he's talking about risk and reward, like he put those in there for her. Like who's going to look in the cup for rings? Where he probably told her, is like, he knew, like he's a very smart man. He probably assumed that he was going to be killed for doing this. And it could happen at any moment. So he, was like, look for the rings at this spot. Right. They're yours. Have a good life.
Okay, I like that explanation. I mean, at least that's a.
I wanted to raise the question. I want to bring up the subject, put out a potential option for it, and then we'll see how everyone else sees it. Because it could be as simple as what you're saying, that people of a higher stature, when they know their time is through, they take off their valuables.
Valuables, yeah, so that it's not looted. I mean, I get that it's what a lot of rich people do, so they don't get their stuff looted and they can leave it for their family. But I mean, but your theory would explain quite a bit. He's leaving it for her, so she can take that and probably sell it for for money.
Because she might be an orphan, she might be, we don't know. Like she could be someone to him. He may have brought her from King's Landing. She may be an orphan. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know.
I like that theory. Yeah.
But I'm trying to get a little more subtle with my theory jump-ins. So this is a work in progress. But so then obviously the soldiers come and get him. Grey Worm walks in with his shackles. And can I just say that Grey Worm is so fucking morose after seeing Missandei die. Like this entire episode, he is stoic. He barely says anything. And actually, I don't even think he does say anything. Did he say anything? Even when he was in the room with Danny later, like he doesn't say anything.
No, I don't think he says a word this entire episode. He does a lot of like. He tells a lot of things, but he doesn't say anything. All with the face. But so they bring Varys out to the edge of the ocean. And a really cool scene because it's like pitch black behind Danny, and like the dragon walks up behind her all slowly. But we'll get to that in a second. But this was actually an incredibly sad moment because Tyrion does not have friends. He has people who, I mean, maybe not anymore, but people who used to be afraid of him because he was a Lannister. Mm-hmm. He had people who respected his knowledge, and then he had, a few friends. Varys was his absolute best friend. Oh yeah, absolutely. And you can tell it killed him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and like it was so sad because like even when he walked up, he's like, "It was me." Like you knew it was cutting through him to say that, but he had to tell his friend, like he's, I got to do it. Like I'm sorry, but this had to happen.
He felt like he owed that.
Absolutely.
I'm the one that stabbed you in the. I'm the one that stabbed you in the back. I'm the one that threw you under the bus. Where I'm the reason you're gonna die.
And that actually speaks even more volumes than I thought before, because has either of them in their multiple shenanigans between each other, even back in King's Landing when they were like playing games around each other, they never ever accepted fault for something that they did. Like, the other one knew that they had done something, but they never said it was them. Like, it was never a verbal acceptance of guilt, and that was like, that was like, I did it. I'm sorry.
That is true. Yeah.
I just happened to think of that. I'm like, I don't think like Littlefinger, Varys, and freaking Tyrion never accepted like any guilt or any. I mean, they took the glory, of course, but they never took any of the negativity from it. Like if the other one was caught or something like that, they never accepted that as a possibility. Because even if they if they assumed it was them, they never be like, nah, it wasn't me, or it was me. They always happen to know. But, and then, oh man. And then, of course, Dany sentences him to death because of betrayal and treason. Drogon freaking torches his ass, and both Jon and Tyrion were both moved at that moment. Like, if you saw Jon's face, he was, like, concerned, and Tyrion was just torn up.
Yeah,
the whole time.
I mean, I'm assuming somebody burning to death is a terrible thing to watch. I mean, and when it's somebody one thing you've known for years and years, it's.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Camera. It was over my face. It wasn't over yours. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But So, and like, it's just one of those things that, like, every single piece of this episode worked towards either Jon or Tyrion realizing they were playing for, maybe not necessarily the wrong team, but they were playing, okay, their team did not stand for what they thought it did.
Right.
And that's a common occurrence throughout the entire episode. Every 5 to 10 minutes, it pans to one of them, and they're just like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe I'm part of this.
Right.
And it just starts right here.
And I think that's really the first time Jon notices.
I feel like he blatantly disagreed with her choice in killing Varys. And I think that's why he was just like, she's the queen, she'll do what she wants.
Easily. And that's really a glimpse of, he's like, this is not going the way I thought things were going to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's murdering her advisors.
Yeah. And honestly, that it's kind of okay. You see that a lot with like with tyrants, really, because someone does something that, like, when you think about what he did, he spread factual information about the circumstances, and he was killed for it.
Yeah.
Normally, that is not something you would get killed for. Tried and put in prison, okay. Like, right. I mean, he's still very useful. He could have been useful, but
absolutely.
She wanted to make a point, so she killed him. So it's like, it's just like this slow descent into the Targaryen madness. But,
yeah, and you see it with a lot of, if you read into Roman emperors, they do a lot of those treason trials where
they want yes men, and if you disagree, you're dead.
You speak out against the regime, and we're gonna put you in this mock trial, and you're gonna be found guilty, and we're gonna either shove you in a cell for the rest of your life, or we're gonna execute you in a super inhumane way. Getting blasted by a dragon.
Technically, though, we don't know if it's humane or not. If he gets his head burned off in the first few seconds, did he really feel it?
Well, later on's any indication, it seems like it quite a bit.
Well, so when it comes down to it, though, it's like fire. Well, fire that. I mean, we see how hot that fire is later.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm pretty sure if you get engulfed, it's dead pretty quick. But if you're getting hit,
well, you not even that, but your sensory organs are all burned off, so you can't feel it anyways.
But I mean, if you're just getting sprayed like some of them do by a little of it, and you're sitting there ignited on fire and you're feeling it, that's I'm assuming it's not very pleasant. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Jacob, that's a good point. I mean, that was definitely the fall of the Mad King, is because he started making horrible decisions. The people turned against him, and then the rebellion started. So if he had kept his senses, it probably would have remained in Targaryen power, and none of this would have happened. The Game of Thrones would have been
right.
Obey the Dragon Lords.
But one thing to remember too about this season, it does not really follow the books at all.
Oh no, we were just talking about the Targaryen madness in general.
Oh yeah. It's
all right. I'm trying to push this along so we get to the good stuff.
the really angry stuff.
Yeah. All right. So, after this whole debacle with Varys, they go right back to the war room again, and so sorry, they didn't go to the war room. They went to the throne at Dragon's Reach.
Oh, that's right.
That really cool. I love that throne. I think it looks so cool.
Throne. I think that throne's so much better than the Iron Throne. Yeah, I think I love how it's perched up like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's made right out of the mountain, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And it's much more symbolic than the swords of the guys who fought to whatever.
Yeah. The 1,000 swords that are apparently.
Yeah, the 1,000 swords that won that bound the 7 kingdoms together is what it's supposed to represent. But okay, so it's Dany, Grey Worm, and Tyrion, basically the last of the advisors, because no one else is alive. And so then that's a super weird circumstance, because every time that Tyrion has had to step against Dany, he's always had Varys, who was also another very knowledgeable person, was like, yeah, we should listen to him. And then it was like, 2v2. But now, Grey Worm wants blood. Dany wants blood. Tyrion is struggling for them to see the folly of their ways, because he does not want to see tens of thousands of people murdered for no reason other than to kill one person.
And you know who's not proud of this crazy shit?
What's that?
Ser Jorah. He was the one that was really her.
Oh yeah.
Her good side, like when she would start to go nuts, he would be like,
kept her grounded.
No, we should do this, and she would just be like, oh yeah, you're right.
But that symbolism right there too, when Jorah stepped up and was like, you need to listen. Tyrion, and now she's blatantly going again. Like, if you think about it, that was his last wishes. That was the night of him being killed to save her.
Mm-hmm.
I would count that as his last wish, and she is blatantly disrespects that whole concept.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she lets her rage get the best of her.
And that's one of my many complaints about her now.
But there's a reason why this is important, because he urges that they stop the attack. Like he tries to get them to not openly fight them. He realizes that's a losing battle. This is gonna happen. So then he switches tones. It's like, listen, fight them, but when you hear the bell, stop. That means the city's given up. The city is yours. Like, regardless of whatever happens after that, the soldiers have laid down their arms. The city is done. Go do what you want with Cersei. No one else has to die. Like, that's it. This is it. And she never says yes or no. She kind of just stares at him like, fuck you.
Right.
And then as he's leaving, because she sends Grey Worm out to go ready the troops, but after she mentions that his brother was captured trying to get back to the Red Keep to see Cersei, she tells Tyrion that his brother was captured, and he turns around and he's like, what? And then she sees that as another betrayal of his, because he told her to trust Jaime, that he was a changed man, etc., etc. And then as he's walking out, she says, I see it. This is one of the quotes I should have gotten. I didn't get it specifically, but she's like, basically, you failed me again. If you fail me one more time, it will be the last time you fail me. And that's just an open threat to him, because Varys just got cooked for betraying her. And, he's gotten multiple, stages of execution, let's say. And now there's no one protecting him anymore. There's no other voice of reason besides his that is sensible. So he knows that if he makes another mistake, he's done for.
Yeah.
And what does he do right after that? He immediately goes to help his brother.
Here's the thing. I think he knew it was gonna go bad.
Absolutely. He knew.
This is why
That's why he talked to Davos before he went to go see his brother.
Yeah.
And he mentioned, "You're the best smuggler in the world, right?" And he's like, "Oh, son of a bitch, what do you want me to do?"
Yeah. So, I mean, he knew things were sideways. So, if he really thought that she was going to stop when the bells were when they start ringing the bells, why would he set all this up? Why would he free him to go and get Cersei?
Oh, he's always had a backup plan. If there's one thing, he always has a contingency. And that's what his brother was, and he was hoping that when he goes to talk to his brother, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. He talks to Davos, mentions the smuggling piece. I think I have a theory about that. I think he wants Davos to smuggle people out of the city, to get as many as he possibly can out to the ships that aren't burned, and just get them out of the city. And because later when he sees Davos, he's ushering people a certain way. So I think that's kind of like what he was doing. That's just this is like a little mini theory I had brewing.
Yeah, it could be.
But then he immediately goes over and he starts talking some broken ass Valyrian to the Unsullied. He's basically saying like, "Oh, I want to eat the death head thing or whatever." And like, "We speak the common tongue. Stop it! You're butchering our language." He's like, "Oh, right. Go take 5." But then he goes in to talk to his brother, and he's begging his brother to help him convince his sister to stop. He blatantly refuses to help him stop because he thinks it's not going to be of any help. He knows that Cersei does not care about the citizens of any of the 7 kingdoms. She will use them for fodder as much as she possibly can. And he knows that like pleading with her about it won't do any good. So then they alter it again. Like, he's making compromises on the fly with multiple people right now. She's like, "Okay, you get her and get out. Like, just go live your lives. Go do something else, anything else. Just get out of here."
Yeah, go across the narrow sea and start
Pentos.
over. Yeah.
And he, and this is one of my favorite lines that he has ever said. And this is probably the best line in the entire, at least for this last 10 episodes or so, at least for the season for me, because he says, he just looks at his brother and he's like, "Why would you do this? Like, why? You know your queen will kill you for this." And he says, "Tens of thousands of innocent lives, one not particularly innocent dwarf. It seems like a fair trade." And I was like, I knew I loved you, man. I knew it. It's fucking dwarf spirit right there.
He knows he has little to no influence or power anymore.
He does, though. He's using what influence he has amongst he's using whatever meek power that he has remaining to make the biggest impact.
Well, I get that, but I'm saying with Danny, and then you see it with when he shows up and John, "Well, your queen wants you to start the attack now," and John's just like, "No, it's going to start at daybreak. That's the earliest we're going to do this."
Yeah.
So I really don't care what you have to tell me. So
yeah,
things are slipping for him.
Yeah,
they're really going down.
Before they ended their conversation, and this is right when I knew that one of them was not going to make it through the next day, was that Tyrion looked at his brother like square in the eyes and said that, "I would not have made it out of childhood without you. You're the only one that treated me like a human." And I was like, "Oh man, one of you is gonna die." Because every time they have one of these heartfelt moments, and it's always the one that is the least at risk. Like, you're thinking, at this point, at least the way I was thinking, was that, Jaime's gonna sneak in, the guards are gonna recognize him, they're gonna usher him right in, his sister will question him, she will realize that she's in love with him, she'll accept his apology, everything will be great. And, like, it'll be up to him to mess it up. And that is completely the opposite of what actually happens.
Yeah.
But that's Game of Thrones right there.
That's
it's
exactly how
the one
do.
You think it's going to affect because of a momentous event like that, and then what actually happens.
they shock you every chance they get. That's
And then, oof,
yeah.
my favorite point, my favorite part of this entire episode, Euron, that piece of shit, is on his ship just like, oh yeah, that's a cool crossbow I got here, look at me, I'm so fucking cool. And he's like, what's that? And he looks up, and the dragon's coming down, and the dragon's coming straight down, so they can't aim the crossbows at it.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, the one tactical move that she has done the entire time she's been in power and waging war. She comes straight down on them and just tears through that fleet.
Yeah, hey, I gotta pause for a second.
Okay, yep.
I got something happening. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead. We can chit chat. So yeah, and like, I'll push it further with the whole tactics thing. Like me and Butchers here have discussed that the tactics used in this, like every battle basically, have been god awful. And the fact that she's finally using these tactics to her advantage, and this is actually a transformative piece for us, the viewers, because when Rhaegal got killed, she charged them but backed off. But now that Missandei has been killed, and more of her forces have been decimated, and it's getting closer to her, like, being at the throne or dying. Like, the culmination of all these events are coming closer, and this is going to be the day that does it. She throws all risk to the wind. Like, she is just embracing the rage and the vengeance she feels because she's lost her family, because the dragons are her family. You know, 2 sons. I don't really know what the sexes are of the dragons, but she's lost 2 sons now, and she's done. She's had enough. She's going to flex her dragon might and punish those who are transgressing against her. 2 children. Well, they never said the names that they give them are kind of male, but whatever. We won't get into that. PC culture. But she's lost 2 children, yeah. And it's just cool because she's finally using tactics. She's no longer afraid. She is here to do a job, and she's doing it damn well. And then after all of that, she takes out the ships and then starts flying towards the keep. And the guys at the keep are like, oh no, they're pulling the crossbows down to get them ready to fire. They get 1 round off, and that's all they get. And then she just starts torching them. And she's using the fact that they can't swivel the I'm sorry, I'll call them crossbows. The ballistas, or the scorpions as they called them in the show, they can't spin them fast enough, and they can't reload them fast enough to make them an effective weapon against her. So she's using that to her advantage by flying inside the city and attacking the walls from the inside out. Which is brilliant. Because if she would have flown directly at them, Drogon probably would have taken at least 1 of them. And if his wing got hit, or his side got hit, he'd be at a severe disadvantage for flying. So she did a very good move on that, attacking from the inside. Yeah, it is. The Scorpion is more based on how it looks. The Ballista is just the real life, what they called it. The Ballistae. But giant ass crossbow that's mounted to something. Because the ballistas were more mobile. They were rolled around and then placed, and then same with the trebuchets. So there's multiple versions of that too, because medieval warfare, they had to come up with a billion different versions of it because everyone had to make the best. There's a catapult, and then you get the trebuchet, and then you have the different variations of those, and then you have the improved ones. Yeah, I won't get into that. That'll be for another time. But so, oof. Just coming in from there, taking out that fleet, made me feel so good. Watching Euron get blown the hell out. Like, just tossed. And then this, the whole time this is going on, we have these, like, ridiculously ominous music playing, like, setting the mood for something horrible about to happen. And then after they show the dragon just destroying the the outer wall. They jump into the city, and they're showing all these like little nooks and crannies, these alleys, these alcoves where people are like hiding in their homes and things. And it's like they're setting the tone and foreshadowing for what's about to happen in the future, because they show all of these again under a horrible circumstance. And then they pan to the gate, and you hear like these explosions going off, and like everyone's like, what's going on? And like the Golden Company is getting like really restless. They like kind of look back, and then you hear it getting closer and closer, and then the freaking gate just explodes and just decimates the Golden Company. Like the leader gets thrown from his horse, and the horse dies. The whole line breaks. They're just thrown everywhere. So many of them are on fire. It's just crazy fireball comes through that gate. And I think it's ironic, which is the name of Game of Thrones, is irony, that one of the most feared and respected fighting companies was just torn apart by the very wall that they were defending. And it was quite fitting, because they were very pompous. Like, ever since you met them, like the leader of the group was very like high and mighty, and when they walked out, like you could see that they, like, obviously they're wearing gold armor and everything. They're living themselves to be some sort of godly fighting force, and they have skulls on their shields and skulls on the pommel of their weapons. They're like, they've clearly thought out the whole like intimidation factor, and then just to watch him get blown apart by everything that was behind them, all the pieces, like the gate that was holding them, you know, this ominous. What? Are you back? Okay.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that.
But it was beautiful, because I'm talking about the Golden Company getting obliterated.
Okay.
And it's a really cool idea, because when they originally showed the front gate, it was such a like awe-inspiring sight, because they had so many troops laid out in front of it. They have the scorpions on the walls, and the way they did the camera just made the walls look huge, and it just looked like this like impossible feat to take this, and it was just taken out like that, just gone.
And this is getting to, I say right now, I hated 90% of this episode, but the 10% that I did enjoy, and I got it started, this was the one thing that I really enjoyed. The special effects, the CGI, the set pieces, the camera angles, the filming of it is probably the best looking episode they've ever done.
Absolutely.
Like it was flawless from start to finish. When it comes to like the CG, you know, the CGI work or the special effects, and they did a lot of really cool angle shots.
Yeah.
In this
especially
episode,
when they were doing the attacks from the dragon's point of view.
Yeah. So the one thing I do enjoy, and it's probably going to suck because I'm probably not going to watch this episode very much.
Right.
But it is the prettiest to look at from start to finish. It was really well done. You can see they sank a lot of money into
this absolutely. Like just their firework, like everything they do with the breath weapon from the dragon, it's always top notch. I've never seen one besides the one that we talked about last time that has not been top notch across the board.
And it seems like that's what they invest a lot of their special effects and CGI into, is the dragon scenes. They want that to be as close to flawless as they can get it.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of other scenes throughout the series where it's just like, oh, how did this pass by the director as, oh, okay, this is all right, and it's just garbage CGI. Like, towards the end of the run with the dire wolf, the wolves just looked, like you said, the episode before, it was out of place. It looked like it was just photoshopped in. You know, like, what?
Absolutely. It looked like a cheap effect that they just transplanted on top of the scene.
Yeah.
Whereas like the fire from the dragon, it looks like you see this a lot where they mix in real fire with Like when they do explosions, they obviously use accelerants of sorts,
Right,
but they
yeah,
also CGI around it, so you have the real fire go up, and then they accentuate it with graphics, which is the
Right.
best way to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, whoever does that dragon work, God bless him. You know,
Yeah.
he does a fantastic job. Or the
But-
team that does it.
Yeah, definitely a team.
Oh,
Well, I was
yeah.
going over how it's a fitting end for the death of one of the most like fearsome forces that money can buy, just to be decimated by the very wall that they were, defending.
Yeah, and here's my complaint with it.
Okay.
They talk about how great the Golden Company is.
Mhm.
We saw little to nothing of them.
Nope.
Little
I think
to
that's what they
nothing,
wanted to do. They love irony, man. And I think
Yeah.
that's what they were doing. They were playing off like, oh, this Golden Company they're going to be the deciding factor on this war coming up, and they just get decimated in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. It's just.
It was her crutch. Like, she had the castle, she had her men. That she probably could have lasted a while, but because she had that Golden Company, that was the reason why she was so confident.
Yeah,
And the fleet, of course. But when she lost both of those in the matter of minutes, it was just like these are her walls. Like this is her standing of herself, and like one just disappears, and then the other disappears, and then she's got like,
Right.
oh, this is what is protecting me now, and then they start falling away. She's like, oh, it's just me now.
At this point in the episode, I wasn't. You know.
Your mic
I
just
was-
cut out for a second. Whoop.
Oh, did it? Is it good now?
Yeah, it's good now. So you can
Oh, okay. At this point in the episode when we were watching it, I wasn't upset with the episode yet. I was still kind of on, okay, it's cool that she's destroying these armies and it's badass to watch.
right.
So I was still on board with this episode. I said, hey, be a fairly quick battle. I mean,
Yes.
she is wiping out everybody on her own.
Well, you got to think she eliminated the only thing that threatened her.
Right. She took those out real quick, and then she wiped out the Golden Company. The only thing that was going to stand in the
Yep.
way of her forces, and she absolutely destroyed that front gate. So
Yep.
they breached the walls fairly quickly, and
Oh yeah, the ground forces had the easiest part in this entire episode. Like the worst thing they had to worry about was getting lit on fire by errant flames or scorched bodies.
and then before the ground forces even get in there, the Dothraki screamers go charging in.
Oh, yeah,
and
that
they're
was
just
nuts.
cutting everybody down.
Well,
And-
at that point it was all soldiers.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
So they were going right
see,
through the Lannister army, which is fine. I'm cool with that.
And at this, like I said, at this point, I was still like, oh, this is awesome.
Yep.
She's absolutely. We're gonna get to see Cersei's head chopped off by the
Yep.
end of this. This is
They
fantastic.
they're gonna take it block by block all the way to the Red Keep.
Yeah,
and then-
it's gonna be the street fight
Yep.
all the way to the palace, and that's what I was hoping for. By the end of the episode, we're gonna be.
You cut out again.
Oh shoot! I don't know what's going on. You hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm like, this could be a callback to the first season when Ned Stark gets his head chopped off. We can end the episode with
Yeah.
Cersei getting her head chopped off.
I would have
This
been
is
okay with that.
fantastic. This is going great. And
Honestly, I
then-
would have preferred that, to be completely honest.
Oh God, we'll get to that.
Oh yeah, I know. I've got
Because
some
now-
choice words I want to say about that moment.
And now I'm at the peak of my enjoyment of the episode.
Yeah.
And we start this sharp decline into madness that I
Oh.
end up having.
It starts right with Cersei. They pan back to her, which, by the way, I wanted to point out the fact that the entire season she's been literally staring over the city. That's
Mhm.
it.
And she's getting paid $1 million an episode.
Yeah, you saw that too. You saw that post. I was gonna make a mention of that. She's getting paid $1 million an episode to stare out over a freaking city.
And drink wine.
And drink wine, yeah. And okay, so they pan to her, and she's still just that ridiculous Lannister confidence. Like, we don't need the walls. We don't need the Golden Company. My men will fight to the death for me.
Yeah.
And then I don't know where the Unsullied are at this point, but it was almost entirely Northmen that were with Jon and Grey Worm when they walked right up to the remainder of the Lannister army, who's holding the line at one of the passes, and they're all just sitting there like, you know, street fighter style, like, this is one side, this is the other, like, what's about to happen? There's about to be some epic battle or something. And then, like, the Lannisters are like all looking around at each other. They're all just like dragon army. Yeah, this isn't looking good for us, guys. And then they start dropping their swords. So they're like giving up. Like, you've won.
Feeling I got. How the hell are we gonna get out of this dying? And
honestly, they could have just stood there and the dragon could have flown over and killed them all. So like, giving up at that point was their only option, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And after they did that, they started dropping their swords. Everyone's like, you know what? You guys won. That's fine. And then Dany flies over, lands on one of the portcullises that's left standing that she left. Because there's not many of them. He lands right on it. And like, the people are freaking out, but she just flies over and lands. And is just watching. And like, people are running. They're terrified of this dragon. It just tore up a whole huge section of the city. And then all you hear is cries for the bells to be rung. Like, people are like, ring the bells, give up. The army has been defeated. We're done. Let her take the city. And then it's a very tenuous moment where they're going back and forth, looking at everyone's faces like, oh no, what's gonna happen? Oh god, no. And then the bells ring.
It's a super Game of Thrones moment.
Absolutely. But they hit like everyone.
They have to cut, like, make 7 to 10 cuts within 20 seconds.
Because it hits like Jon, it hits Tyrion, it hits Grey Worm, it hits Dany. And then the bells ring. And she gets this sigh of relief for like a second. And then like everyone's like, yeah, the bells are ringing, like we win. Or like the guys are Jon, like, he noticeably calms down. He's like, we've won. Like, this is it. Like, we've accomplished our goal. And he like is getting all like nice and like calm. Grey Worm is just like kind of like sitting there being all. And one thing I want to point out about Grey Worm, he did not bring his shield with him this time.
He just brought
from a soldier who is trained to use spear and shield as their main form of combat. He didn't bring his shield, which means he had a death sentence for himself. He wanted to die, or he wanted to just be absolutely ballistic.
Yeah.
And you can see that like Dany's starting to get a little more torn, and then that like sneer, scornful look kind of just envelops her face, and she takes off towards the castle and just starts lighting everything on fire in her wake. Soldiers, citizens, buildings, everything.
And when she had that look on her face before she took off, I turned and I looked at my wife. I said, here we go. They're about to piss me the fuck off. And she just goes, why? I said, she's going to destroy this whole city. Watch, she's going to burn it to the ground.
And as soon as she took off and like we started flying over the streets again, I'm like, please just go to the keep. Like, just go right to the keep, destroy the keep, fuck the keep. I don't care about the keep. Blow it up.
I was doing too.
But
I was hoping for that, and then, they do that little thing where the first shot of Dragonfire is on troops. So
troops, yeah.
Like, okay.
Yep, yeah, they did that.
Troops, that's
completely mind-fucked you.
I'm absolutely all right with her going after the Lannisters.
Get the remainder.
Okay, I get that. Cool. And then the very next shot, she flies over the citizens, and I'm like, here it is. And sure enough, the big old flame destroys that first building, and then it just engulfs the entire street. And I said, I don't understand what the hell they're doing.
At this point, I was hoping that it was just like, oh, she didn't mean to do that.
That was an accident.
Yeah, she saw soldiers. Her soldiers make sense. She just took him out. Like, I can forgive that. Like, that much. Like, if she, like, noticed, me, like, oh, no, what did I do? Didn't even show her face. Like, the rest of the entire episode.
You don't see her the rest of the episode.
Nope.
And then, you just keep getting scene after scene of her decimating streets full of innocent people. And then
I put in here the slaughter begins because she just goes up and down every road, lighting every street on fire, filled with innocent people, children, women, men, some soldiers, but most of the army is decimated at this point.
Yeah. After about the third or fourth street, they show her wiping out. I said to my wife, I said, nothing short of somebody murdering her.
You cut out again.
I said, oh, okay, sorry. I said, it might be the connector. Nothing short of her being murdered is going to be all right with me. She needs to be.
I got a theory about that.
Flat out murder her. I've been a Danny supporter since season 1.
I've been calling that she was gonna go dragon for a while. Like, I thought it was gonna be more literal term, but I consider this waking the dragon, as her brother put it.
Yeah, and I think it wouldn't have been as bad. For everything they wanted to do, 6 episodes is not nearly. This should have been something that slowly progressed over an entire season until the season finale, where she absolutely goes apeshit. The fact that you had both these, you had the battle with the dead, and then you have this in such a short period of time. These 2 storylines could have been individual seasons on their own.
Yeah, easily.
A 10 episode season.
I can argue on both sides of that, though, because there's no way you're going to get an undead army who is just hellbound on destroying it to last more than a night. And you could stretch it out, but you'd be noticeably stretching the episode to fit multiple instances.
If you really wanted to do them both, why not? I mean, if you did it as a 10 episode season, you probably could have fixed this whole second half. Like we were talking earlier, the battle with the dead, that episode 3 should have easily been at the end.
Yeah, they should. It would have been a logical finishing point. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I don't like how she went from the first episode of this season as still the breaker of chains, to now all of a sudden 4 episodes later, she's absolutely insane. I don't know.
Because there's only 6 episodes, they're rushing it. What were you gonna say?
My Discord skipped.
Oh.
All right.
I was to say, because there's only 6 episodes, they're rushing it a little bit. But
yeah, I know, and that's the one thing I felt like. I talked to people at work that watched the show, and they said that episode felt really rushed, super rushed. And I agree. A lot of that, they fit a lot. I'm also thinking that this whole episode could have been broken up into 2 separate episodes, where you focus on
absolutely
you focus on the battle as its own episode in the lead up, like they were doing it. Because you get into this, about 20 minutes. The battle is literally 15-20 minutes into the episode.
No, it's about half an hour, honestly.
Is it? So they really only focus. Because that whole battle scene, she wipes out everything real quick. Even with the dragon, the massive size of King's Landing, I don't think it would just take an hour.
Well, so my big issue with the dragons is that their breath is so strong for fire.
Right.
You know what fire does to rock?
Yeah.
Not much.
Well, no, remember, was it season 2 where Arya's with, Oh, what is the old man Lannister's name? He was the hand for Joffrey. Tywin.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Remember when Tywin was at that like shitty looking castle that had all the rocks that were actually melted? Harrenhal. It was something like that. And they said, what kind of fire is hot enough to burn stone? And they go, dragon fire. So
they were explosions though. It wasn't like cracking is one thing, and normally you have to heat it up over time. It's not just like a boom. All right, that stuff was basically made out of hay and hand grenades.
Yeah, right.
like even dragons in D&D were one of the strongest points in the literature of dragons. Still takes time to light things on fire, and that's magical fire.
Don't forget too that you see all the wildfire that's been stored under the city by.
But that's green. You can tell the difference.
Well, no, I'm saying so. It also has that exploding as well.
Well, yeah, you start seeing that as the fire
as he
spreads.
starts hitting some of those buildings that are closer to the Red Keep, where the Mad King had all this wildfire under the city, to actually destroy it, and now we're actually seeing his daughter using that stuff to blow up the city. So I really don't think she had any ambition of ruling from that.
Well, she made it very obvious that she doesn't mind ruling from the ashes at this point,
right.
But
I guess rebuild.
What?
I guess she can rebuild.
Yeah. But so after she starts attacking on that, when the dragon opens up on them, so the slaughter begins. Tyrion and Jon are noticeably mortified that she's doing this.
Oh yeah.
And they pan to Grey Worm, and he's just and everyone, all the Northmen and all the soldiers on the ground are they a lot of them had the spears. They're holding it at a rest position. A lot of people put their swords away. Grey Worm instantly, he sees that fire go, tilts his spear and whips it right into the first Lannister he sees, and then just dives into him. And then all the Northmen are like, "Let's get him!" and just starts killing. They're all none of them have their weapons at this point.
Right.
They're all unarmed. And they're all freaking out now because they have now surrendered and are now being massacred. Which is not the way that they do things.
Yeah, Jon tries to stop them, and Grey Worm gives that look I know that's going to come back in the next.
Oh, it is. That was one of my theories.
He's going to tell Danny, hey, he tried to stop.
Yep.
He tried to stop all the Northerners from attacking. After.
She already thinks that the North is going to go back on its word. They showed up, so they have that much of a leeway with her. But as soon as he turned and saw Jon doing that, he's absolutely, he's going to tell her, and shit's going to hit the fan.
Oh yeah, I honestly don't doubt that the North is going to turn on her.
Yeah, but I still don't think that Jon's going to be king. I don't think that.
I hope it's not Danny. I'll tell you that much.
Well, I have a theory about that too, but we'll get into that in a minute. So they start wading into these guys, the soldiers, and they're killing them left and right, and still soldiers. So I'm it's dishonorable, but that's okay. But then they cleave through the soldiers, and then they start. What?
Some of those cleavings they did a fantastic job.
Yeah, absolutely.
They made it look. I mean, they were cutting hands off and fingers when they were. It was really good.
But it drives home the whole concept that once they watched their queen lose her moral high ground, the rest of them no longer stood on theirs. So they start slaughtering these unarmed people. Some of them pick their weapons up and start trying to defend themselves, but once they got through the soldiers, they start killing everyone. They're killing children. They're killing husbands, wives. All the people that aren't being killed by the fire are now being killed by the ground forces of this queen. So no one in there, in this mess of soldiers, has any sense besides Jon. He's trying to get the attention of his men and be knock it the hell off. What are you doing? You're better than this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's where you're starting like we were talking about earlier, Ned Stark's influence on them. They
absolutely
surrendered. What are you doing? Don't attack people that have surrendered to you.
And
we're not. This is not what we are.
Yep.
And I don't think these are the Ned Stark Northerners that we're dealing with. They're so easily influenced into just going after everybody.
Well, you got to think all the old lords are all dead.
That's true.
These are all everything's under new management in the north. Well, pretty much everywhere at this point. But
yeah, it gets out of hand real quick.
Yeah, I wrote down a bunch of stuff for this next section. So basically, it just goes. So he has gone up to Drogon and pet him, and he was accepted at that point. He rode on Rhaegal before he died, so
right.
he has some affiliation to the dragons, and that's right. What. Remember what I said though? Was it 2 episodes ago? I said that Dany's gonna die, and freaking Jon's gonna take up the dragon. I thought that he was gonna do it in vengeance of her, but I think it might be something else now. I still think that he's gonna get control of this dragon, but yeah. That's just a whole nother theory. But yeah, he has shown at least a minor connection with both Drogon and the other Rhaegal. But Rhaegal's obviously dead now, so it doesn't matter. But Drogon saw that, so he knows that he's not an enemy. Right. Plus he's Targaryen. I swear that these dragons have some sort of mental connection. They can sense, or they're predators, so I guess they can definitely tell emotions and whatnot. But anytime Dany gets angry or anything, Drogon's instantly pissed. Like, you hear him roaring in the background, and just like he's ready for a fight. Right. And that's right now. He's giving her no feedback. He's like, "I love this. Let me keep going."
Well, in the books, they kind of mention that too. That Targaryens have this connection.
Yeah. With
dragons that Valerians have that connection with dragons that they're. I know in the book, I don't think they meant in the show, but they have that connection with the dragon that the dragon can feel what, basically if you have a dog or whatever. I know our dog,
empathy.
If I'm mad, she has a very bad attitude.
Yeah. They're empathetic animals. They can sense the emotions from their owners.
Yeah.
Because animals can smell fear. They can smell anger.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we exhibit emotions, they can tell. And when she gets angry, because they've seen it multiple times, that's how it's able to pick up. I'm not thinking it's anything extra sensory. I don't think the dragon can read your thoughts, or she's giving it commands through her mind. But it's picking up on the vibes she's putting off.
Yeah.
But so after you see the soldiers start killing the innocents, this is pretty much where everyone has disavowed the rest of this episode, because at this point people are like, this is ridiculous. Of all the people in all the 7 kingdoms, the Northmen are the ones that you would think would be the most honorable, and they're just murdering. And so they're panning from scene to scene, watching those same alcoves I talked about earlier, just being blown up, fire going down, killing everyone, innocent people, children, the whole 9 yards. And then you're just watching them, you're watching bodies, just everyone burning. They're setting this horrible scene of just everyone being murdered for no reason, because none of these are soldiers anymore. They pan completely away from soldiers, and this is all innocent life being slaughtered. And then it gets even worse.
Yeah.
Because
the point that I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I had no word. I just sat there and I watched it. I think I used the word shit about 50 times in the second half of the episode. I said, this is bullshit. This is so overkill for us to not like her so they can do something with Jon. And it was really had to do this. It felt like overkill. It didn't. I mean, she could have done some of it, but it was like they kept just laying it in.
It was unnecessary.
It was overkill. The best word I can say. They went overboard on it. So, and I was like, this is bullshit. I really don't want to sit here and just watch 10, 12 minutes of people screaming in agony, and this dragon is just killing little kids and women, and
it only gets worse.
I know it does, and that's the problem. This is the exact point where I think I was telling
you're cutting out again, man.
Oh, sorry. And you watched it a second time.
Yep.
I got about half. This is about the point where I turned it off. I said, I can't sit here and watch this a second time. It's just aggravating me all over.
Yeah,
again.
it's definitely nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
It's like when they ask, how can we get our fans to not watch? Yeah, exactly. Well, so that's the thing. They only have one episode left. And after such a crazy emotional moment like that, everyone's like, I'm not going to watch the final episode. Get out of here. You're going to watch the freaking last episode. Don't be... You cut out again, man. I have no idea what you just said.
Sorry, I just said, I hate how they're doing. There's 2 episodes left, and I hate how they're doing this. It just, the first 4 episodes were fantastic. And then this episode, you're supposed to build up for the final episode, and it's just garbage to me.
Yeah. But it's typical fashion. They do a horrible second to last episode where it pulls up emotions and just it gets people everyone riled up. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's pissed off. Everyone loves it. They go one way or the other, and then the final episode is just like something horrible happens in the beginning, and then they just settle everything out, and all the loose ends are tied up. That's how it happens every time. If they leave it on a cliffhanger, I swear to God, Martin, I'm going to be coming for you.
Don't.
They might.
Don't even joke about that.
You seen Firefly, right?
They
might.
Well, Firefly was expecting to do a second season. That's
True.
The problem with that. Game of Thrones knows this is their episode.
Yeah. So then we get both an awesome, and then also just because I utterly fucking hate Jamie after this episode. Euron and Jamie run into each other when Jamie's trying to go in through the basement. This is
a scene that I really... 2 people at this point that I didn't care for. Oh. Either way, either one of them killed the other, and I wouldn't have... Shit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm glad that Euron died, because he does, but... it's the fight's just so stupid. Like, they're like, struggle. Jamie gets stabbed. He's like, oh no, I'm hurt. He sees his sword. He scrambles over to get the sword. Euron stabs him again, and then gets up and stabs him back. He's like, oh, now you're the Kingslayer ×2. And then he dies saying, oh, I'm the man that killed Jaime Lannister. It's like, the fight was, like, they literally put that in there just to kill Euron. Like, Euron had to have some kind of story arc end, and like, how more fitting can it be? He just walks out of the water randomly after swimming like 5 miles.
Yeah, and he just happens to come ashore when Jamie's going that cave.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I mean,
he's the only one that's coming ashore at that spot.
Yeah.
Not 5 other guys with him, but...
Mm-hmm. No, because Euron's the strongest. He's the greatest Ironborn. He can swim 10 miles in a single bow.
Yeah, I can add some sarcasm to that as well.
But it is, I mean, they had to end the story arc. They wanted it to be Jaime because he's basically been goading Jaime from afar, like, to our benefit, not his own. Obviously, he doesn't know how much crap he's been talking about him to Cersei.
Yep.
Like, it was fitting that Jaime killed him, but Jaime then walks into the castle because he's looking for Cersei.
Like I said, it was a scene that they could have killed each other.
Yep, they should have. Honestly, I would have been happy with Jaime's death being there. But after that BS,
that scene, and it just hurts. Then we gotta get to that.
Yeah, and Cersei, she's like, Qyburn is like, we gotta go. Like, everything's on fire. We gotta go. Shit's happening. Like, we got to go. And she's like still delusional. She's like, no, we totally got this. We got the fleet in the bay. We got the Golden Company and like people and stuff. And he's like, no, everyone's dead. We gotta go.
No, and then I think this is where she also. We're at the Red Keep. It's the safest place to be.
The Red Keep has never fallen.
The Unsullied have breached the gates of the Red Keep. We have to leave.
Yeah. And that's when she like falls into her like despair, which honestly I love this moment just because I enjoyed watching her be in such turmoil.
Well, this is a scene that everybody's been waiting for. Finally, she's like paranoid. She's scared. She knows it's over. You know.
And then one of my favorite arcs that unfortunately ended in this episode as well. Arya and Hound walk into the keep, and the Hound evaluates the situation. He's like, Arya, you need to go. The fire will probably kill her. You don't need to be here. If you come with me, you will die.
Yeah, and this is easily my favorite episode because you get that finally Arya thanks him,
and it's like a wholehearted thank you.
Yeah, and I took it as a thank you for saving her life in whatever
for everything.
Season 3. Yeah, like she never said that she never was going to thank him for anything.
She was gonna kill him. Like she was not only not gonna thank him, she was gonna kill his ass.
She left him for dead, and
and robbed him.
Here we go. And I liked it. I thought it was a real touching.
It was. I really liked it.
Finally, thank you. Thank you.
The Hound's been alive. He lived through the undead and all that. Yeah. Like he's just been super bitter this whole time because he realized that they asked him what is he living for, and towards the beginning of this season, and he couldn't give them a reason why. And then he finally came to terms. He's like, I want vengeance. I want to kill my brother. Yep. And that's exactly what he does. That's why he's riding on the road. He's like, I have one job left to do. And Arya meets up and he's like, I have one job left to do. So they ride together down to King's Landing to finish their arcs. And
I like that. I thought that was that's my favorite scene.
I love that he grabbed her like head. I mean, he's fucking massive and she's tiny. So he like grabbed her head in like a nice way.
I was for a second there I was like, where is? I don't.
But it was an endearing moment because he this is the father figure that never should have happened. Like he taught her so much without meaning to do anything, and she learned a lot from him, and they grew this bond that no one expected.
And I've actually been rewatching the series, and the scenes in season 3 and 4 with the two of them, they're my favorite. They're my favorite scenes of those two seasons.
Absolutely.
How it goes from she hates his guts so much for being the one that killed the butcher's boy.
Yep.
Micah. To
I forgot that he killed Micah too.
Yeah, he did. And he sat there.
Oh man, like right in front of her too.
Yeah,
he was still alive. And he's like,
he goes, I cut that boy in half. Because he ran. That was his.
Yeah.
But by about the midway point before that whole thing happens, where he fights Brienne.
Yeah,
they're super close. I mean, they're like this at one point.
Well, when he's fighting Brienne, he's not just fighting her because he wants to keep his money at that point. He's fighting to defend her because he doesn't know who Brienne is.
Yep. Because she just all he knows is there's this to take Arya and won't explain why.
Yep.
All she says was, "I swear an oath to your mother." Which means nothing to him because her mother's been dead for whatever length of time by that point.
And it's just empty words. Like anyone could say that.
Anyone could walk up and say, "Oh, I swore an oath to your mom. I need to take you." And then the whole thing with her wearing having the Lannister sword, and a Lannister gave her the armor, and she's walking
Brienne,
She's walking around with Podrick, which was, Tyrion Lannister's squire.
Yeah.
So it kind of looks fishy, like, oh, this lady's with
the Lannisters. They think she was sent out by the Lannisters.
And she's here to take her back to Cersei, to be killed or whatever. So that gives him a real reason. No, you're not going to take her anywhere.
Yep. And that makes sense too, because the Hound was a champion of House Lannister, so he
knows.
Fully aware of what their armors look like, what their weapons look like, because he was also outfitted. He had a custom helmet and everything for the longest time.
Yeah, and that's what he said. He goes, I know. See it.
We got way off. Yeah, a little bit. It's fine though. This is a shorter. Well, I mean, it was gonna be a shorter episode. We're at almost an hour and a half at this point, but that's fine. So then, yeah, he tells her basically, if you come with me, you're going to die. You need to leave now. Like I plan on dying here. I came here to die. Like you need to go though. Like you have more things to do with your life.
And when I like the point where if you go with me, you are not in here.
Yeah.
You're gonna die here. And her face goes from being angry that he's trying to stop her, to being absolute, like she was on the verge of tears.
Yeah, she realized that he's doing it to save her life. He's not doing it out of like pride or something for himself or anything. He's doing it out of genuine fear for her.
Right. Absolutely. So that was a fantastic scene. I love that one.
Oh, and I love her thank you. She's like Sandor or Sandor. Like she never says his name.
No, she always calls him the Hound.
Yep. Yeah. And no one uses his name. Most people don't even know his name. So his name is Sandor Clegane.
Yeah.
And his brother is Gregor Clegane. I can't say that name very well. But so his whole reason is to find his brother because his brother tortured him as a child. And the Hound he's got burns all over his face because his brother stuck his face into the coals of a fire.
And I will say one thing. Like I said, I'm back rewatching the entire series as I watch the newer episodes.
Yeah.
And the burns on his forehead are much more prominent later on, like the last two seasons, than they were early on.
Yeah, they were a slight.
The point that I'm watching it at, I mean, it's noticeable, but it's not as super noticeable as it is now.
Yeah, it ends like just lower than his hairline. And now it's like all the way around and like...
Absolutely.
You cannot fast travel when enemies are nearby. Okay, that's a good one. So Drake just said, I just want to be saying seriously smirking with a caption, you cannot fast travel when enemies are nearby. Like, oh, damn it.
I know a Skyrim reference when I see it. Yeah. Speaking of Skyrim, I was thinking I made a character that was just like Jack and Hadar. And I had him join the Assassin's Guild.
Nice. So then right after this we move right into the Hound walking up to his brother. There's there's this like crazy collapse. The Gregor protects the queen because he's basically a zombie at this point. And we've seen briefly his skin, and he's like protecting the queen, taking these like massive boulders like a badass.
Yeah. He did a huge shield for her.
And
this is actually a fan theory that they actually took and ran with.
Oh, really?
Going back to like season 2 or 3, you started hearing the Game Bowl. If you ever look it up, there's a lot of. If you go on the internet, Clegane Bowl. It's what people were talking about wanting to see. They wanted to see since like season 2, him in the mountain have a like.
Oh, absolutely. I thought it was just part of the whole thing. Like, why would it not be part of the story arc? They hate each other.
Yeah, exactly. And title really took off after they had that little skirmish during the jousting match.
Yeah.
Back in season 1. And people have been if you look at you Google it or whatever, there's so much about Clegane Bowl, and people were finally, and this was I honestly have more favorite scenes. I have more scenes that I like in here than I actually thought. I enjoyed this fight between the two brothers.
Yes, absolutely. This is a good fight.
Yeah, I didn't care for how they were, the way they cut this part where they were cutting back and forth real quick between.
There was one part that I really liked that they did cut to, and I'll talk about that. But yeah, there was in this whole episode there's way too much cutting, like back and forth between things.
It's super quick cuts.
Yeah, it's like 10 seconds here, 15 seconds there, and like this, like you want to progress the story, like leave that out and then like finish this and then go back and watch that for 30 seconds.
I would have been fine with intercuts during the fight, but not as quickly as they did it.
They were doing that to set the mood.
Like, he would get bashed into a wall, cut to Arya like dodging, like dragon fire, and then they would cut back to him fighting, and then they would cut back to her.
That's the good part, though. They did it because those two, it made a unique bond for those two because they were both struggling at the same time, and you knew that one of them was about to die. You didn't know which one, but you knew that one of them, like,
okay,
these, like, they just had like the father and daughter moment there, and now they're both struggling, and like it set this mood, like, you know, no matter where you are, you're gonna die, because like it looks like Arya's gonna get trampled to death. It looks like Clegane, well, the Hound or Sandor is about to get just smashed to pieces. But neither of those two things actually happen. I thought it was a really cool moment because it was like the whole thing, like they're united through struggle. They're united through hardship.
Yeah. I mean, now that you put it that way, it does seem like who is time on who's gonna die, you know, real quick cuts of, okay, well, he just got slammed through a wall, and here's her dodging around the corner while fire's being blown down on top of her.
Yeah,
that's I get it now. I understand what they were doing. I think the when I watched it, I was so enraged. I wasn't really paying attention the way I should, and that's that's
why I watch it a second time, because I get emotional when I watch it the first time. I'm like, no, what are you doing? And the second time, I'm like actually taking notes and stuff.
Yeah, because I think by this time I had such a bitter taste in my mouth that I wasn't really. Now that I really
you're cutting it out again, man.
Sorry.
What were you saying?
I was just saying that I think by this point I had just this real bad sour taste in my mouth about. I wasn't like.
No idea what you said.
No, shit. I don't know.
It's like as soon as you about to get like to the meat of the sentence, it's like.
No, it's basically just. I was so pissed that.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you lose a sense of what's actually happened. Because this show is all about subtleties, and you miss out on the subtleties when you're worried about characters. And that's what they want. They want people to go back and watch it again and catch those little pieces. But I'm going to touch on this very, very quickly. Jaime and Cersei meet up, and they go to the exit. Fuck them. I don't care.
Don't even get me started.
They have like their own little touching moment, but I hate both of them. And this whole concept of them meeting in the bowels of the castle is utter garbage, and one of the reasons why I hated this episode.
She did so much terrible fucking shit through this entire series. To kill her off that way was bullshit. And that,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We still got to talk about the brothers, man.
Yeah,
so.
I know.
Arya's out in the streets trying to get away from the castle because she just wants to leave now. And the brothers are fighting on this like broken down, destroyed staircase, and they're just beating the shit out of each other. Sandor's like trying to take chunks out of his brother. His armor's like super strong. He's not really doing any damage. He impales him at one point. Doesn't matter because freaking Zambi. And then he finally Gregor or the Mountain picks him up and was like, I don't know if you know this, but if you get your eyes pushed in with thumbs, you die.
Oh,
and he's almost about to die, and then he like freaking knifes the Gregor in the head, and he like kind of like stumbles back, not dead, just stumbling, and then in one of the bravest moments in freaking the Hound's life, he tackles his brother through a wall into a massive bonfire, which, if you know anything about the Hound, hates fire.
Right.
It's like his biggest fear, and just takes him right into the fire, like YOLO style. Like, I'm done, you're dead. Yep. This is how it is. Like, I'm taking you with me, and just as much as the Hound pissed me off over the years.
He went out.
Respect.
I liked his death. I thought it was a good ending for the Hound.
And then unfortunately, Arya is still in the streets struggling, and this is just 10 minutes of her running through the streets, getting knocked down, getting back up, just carnage everywhere. She finds a group of people, they're super injured, they get blown the hell up. She leaves. She sees another group get blown the hell up, and like this is just stones falling on people, not even fire. Like some of them are burned and whatnot, but like people are just getting destroyed by the falling debris from the castle. And then she gets knocked out. And the whole time is like they're playing this like ominous music. And one of the things I caught it is someone is still ringing the bell.
Like, please
with just
stop.
just like pleading with the dragon, like stop, like we have given up, leave us alone. And like they're just like, I can just imagine that poor Sa just they're just fucking ringing that bell, like maybe if she hears it, maybe if I ring it just a little harder, I could save someone. Just to no avail.
I was yelling at the TV during this scene because I was just like, Arya, stop trying to help people. You're getting more people killed.
Yeah, right. She was really. God. And then she starts to get trampled, and this is the scene where it's going back and forth between her and Xander. And then the mother that she saw, so she saw a mother and a daughter when her and the Hound were first sneaking into the castle, and like she saw him just like quick glance, like seeing people in the crowd or whatever, and that mother saves her. She pulls her out of like the pile of people stomping on her basically, and like gets her up. She's like, we gotta go, and like they go together, and then they get separated, and then they meet up later. And at this point, like they're running together, or they got separated at this point, so they're away from each other again. Crazy shit happens. I think Arya gets knocked out at this point, and a bunch of people die around her. And she gets hit by like a giant rock. Just fucking rocks everywhere. But then it jumps over to John. John is looking at Davos, who is like bringing people a certain way, like citizens. Civilians, and like trying to get them out of the city. That's my theory, at least. He's like ushering them a certain way, and then John's like, "We gotta go! Like, get everyone! We gotta go! This city's exploding because this is where the wildfire is starting to go off all around him too." Yeah. And he's like, "I heard this story. We got to go."
What's awesome is, I don't know if you've noticed that compared to the flames from the dragon, the wildfire just looks like little puffs.
Yeah, exactly.
When it explodes, like it's not even near the potency of dragon fire.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the thing about that wildfire though is that it spreads. Yeah. Whereas like the dragon fire will stay mostly central, the wildfire it's like water. It just spreads like water. Yeah. That's why it can that's why it's oil based, because it sits on top of the water like it was in the Battle of Black Harbor or whatever.
Yeah.
So then they call for retreat. All the Northmen are running. Again, I don't see any freaking Unsullied. I don't know where they are, but
outside of Grey Worm, I didn't.
Like at this point, Grey Worm is still killing people.
Yeah, he's just swinging it around. But yeah, you're right. You don't. After they first charge into that through the breach in the wall, you don't see almost any Unsullied the rest of the episode.
I have to assume there's not many left because they lost half their troops in the north, and then they lost another huge chunk when they sailed the ships over to
when the ships
Dragon's
got
Reach.
Destroyed.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a massive city. I mean, I'm sure once they breach that, breaking off down different streets, and not everybody can file down that main road.
Right.
So
they spread off. They realize that the city's lost. They need to get out, so they all start scattering. And then Arya finds the mother and daughter again, huddled in this little house, and she's like, "We gotta go!" Like she sees the wildfire too, and she knows what the wildfire is. So she's like, "We gotta go! Like this, like we gotta go right now. If you stay here, you're gonna die." And everyone's like fighting her, and then she's like, "No, we're going!" So she like grabs the mother and daughter. They go outside, and they're running, and they do that really awesome camera shots where they're kind of like shifting back and forth as people like running past. It really adds a lot of character to the scene. And then the Dothraki come in and cut the mother down because they're garbage.
Yeah. Well, and no, that scene was one of the things I was talking about, how well they shot this episode, because that was amazing. I'm assuming it was CGI with them, but it looked really good. If it wasn't,
CGI, what was CGI?
The Dothraki on the horses.
Oh no, I bet you that was real horses.
Okay.
And real,
if it was just that angle that they were using. They did a lot of single takes, you could tell.
Yeah.
Like no cut. and that was another one where they were coming down. A lot of the Arya stuff running was just that one take, one
Well,
continuous.
what they probably did was they probably had the horses run through on a green screen, and then had her run through on a separate section, and they just put the two together because they were really close to the horses. And I mean, I wouldn't want to put my actors that close. Like even trained horses, there's still danger.
A little kid,
And, yeah, exactly. A small child as well.
That makes sense. Okay.
And the horses actually hit people and stuff like that, so it was like there's a lot of weird things. But
even if that's the case, they did it very.
Yeah. But
there's a couple of times through the series where they did something like that, and it looked terrible.
Yeah. But this whole scene is so. This scene right here is where I based my entire theory, my next theory, all around, because Arya watches the mother get cut down by a Dothraki. She tries to help the mother. The mother says, "Take her," and the dragon is literally flying on their 6 right now. And she's like, "Okay," and like Arya is smart enough to realize like she's gonna die if she does not take the daughter and go. Grabs the daughter, takes off. Daughter runs back to the mother. Yeah. Dragon breathes fire down the freaking road. And it's like as soon as that happened, I'm like up to this point, I'm telling my wife, I'm like, Arya's gonna kill Danny, absolutely. Like she has seen enough on these streets that she's gonna be the only one. That she's gonna make a whole new list. Like these are the assholes I want to kill. These are the assholes that need to die.
Exactly, I'm with you on that, and it seems like she's the go-to person that, like, if somebody's gonna do it, it needs to be her because she's so. When it comes to doing that deed, she's so efficient at it.
And she's never hesitated like everyone else has.
No. And you saw that when she killed Peter Littlefinger.
Yep.
She, without a hesitation, she just walked right up, put it right back in the sheath, and just turned it, walked back, took her spot right back, and just stood there.
But yeah, that's my major theory going into it now is that Arya,
I hope so.
She's going to at least try. I don't know if it's gonna work, but she's gonna at least try because that was that was carnage. There's no other word that I would use for that whole circumstance that Arya went through as anything other than carnage.
Yeah. Yep.
And the horse has to mean something. It has to be from the first season where she like walked up to a horse and was carrying for it or something.
It was just like the white horse that that gave Dany in the first or the second episode when they got married. That was her.
Oh yeah.
It was a pure white horse, and it was. I don't know if it was a callback to that, but
it could have just been a piece of innocence in the carnage too.
Yeah. It's just this horse with no saddle or anything, standing right in the middle of this destruction.
So it was either a symbol or a callback. It's one of those two.
Yeah. And like I said, they don't. I was trying to figure out what the mother-daughter was symbolizing because they just seemed to keep showing up at key moments, and it felt like there was a meaning.
Well, they were building a rapport with Arya.
I know that, but I thought there was something. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I mean, she was smuggled out at one point, so it could be something calling back to that. Remember when she was after Ned was beheaded? So, that one guard grabbed her and was like huddling her through the city.
Yeah.
So she might have seen herself in that small child because like she was just as afraid.
She knows the feeling.
Yeah. So maybe something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
But then we gotta talk about it just because it is what it is. But the stupid ass freaking Lannister bitches are in the basement of the castle trying to escape, but all the exits are blocked, and they, you know how they die? They freaking get collapsed on. The castle just collapses on them, which is the most bullshit way for two, like Jaime dying in combat. That probably would have been the best way for him to die. Cersei should have died some way much more horrible.
And that's why I said, like, if he that fight that he had with
Euron.
Yeah, that would have been okay. Cersei needed to be, because she, like I said, she's done so much awful shit that's not the way that I want. I would have preferred to see her get executed. Honestly, like head chopped off, or even burned. You know.
Yeah.
It just seemed like it was such a off way to kill her. Like, all right,
Yeah. Which Dracon just brought up an interesting point. They might not technically be dead. They might do in like the next episode. They might do like definitely not the way they should have gone out. But maybe if they die from suffocation, I'll feel a little better about the whole circumstance.
You always get that thing with Game of Thrones is they're not dead until you see their body.
Exactly. And that's why I just said to Drake, I was like, we didn't see a body, so
yeah.
Even then, it's like a 25% chance to come back.
Yeah.
Like, look at freaking John and Barrack.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me pray real quick.
I don't think anybody's praying for her to come.
Oh, no, dude, the Lord of Lights, like, all of his people are dead.
Yeah, so there's... If that's how they've... Shame on them, is all I can say. I mean, I have other... But I want to try to keep it as clean as possible. Shame on them. I'm not a fan of that ending.
I hope they do more with it. Like even wildfire, like seeping in and like burning him to death. I'm cool with that. I want the most horrific end for Cersei as possible. Like I'm cool with like scarabs. Like you ever seen The Mummy? Like scarabs just pop out of the sand and start eating them. I'm cool with that too. Doesn't even have to make sense to me. I don't even care.
It's just something better than the ceiling falling out.
Yep. Or like even if they want to do like the ceiling falling, like have it like a slow crush, like just like it's kind of like slowly getting inch by inch closer to him, and like. Sorry, I've been waiting for Cersei's death for so long. I want it to be truly profound.
I'm with you, and this is what we get. We get the ceiling falling on her.
But I mean,
like
that's
the wicked witch getting killed by the.
Yeah. Besides Arya riding out of the city on the white horse, that's the end of the episode. And
honestly,
yeah.
I don't think anybody was happy unless it was Arya killing. To be perfectly truthful, I don't think.
But that's too simple for Game of Thrones. They wouldn't have done it that way.
Yeah, I know, but but as a fan, I have the feeling that the only way the death would have been if Arya like cut her throat.
Somehow Arya sneaks into the basement.
Yeah, cut her head. Yeah. So I don't.
That's true.
I just wasn't happy with the way they did it.
Dracon made a good point as well that because irony is such a profound piece of Game of Thrones, having them die in a non-epic way is ironic in theory, because you'd expect it to be something amazing, and
that's a good point. Yeah,
got nothing.
Like
the only other way would be like a heart attack or something,
God,
or like
I don't know. She drank too much wine and she. Oh.
I would have loved someone to just walk up and 300 her ass.
Yeah, right?
Like Jamie just comes running up and like jumps up and does the double kick right out the window.
Which is hilarious because she was in. She played his wife in 300.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, tripping and hitting their heads on a pillow.
Yeah.
Dad. You got fluffed to death, bitch.
Well, I guess we got her death. That's the most important thing.
We think.
I'm just exactly.
We think. There may be more justice in store for us. God, I hope it's that.
One can only hope.
I mean, that was the episode. We gave our theories. I don't really have anything beyond the whole Arya's gonna kill Dany. I think Jon and Tyrion are going to be put on some kind of trial, or they might be executed. Like if you want to truly piss off the Game of Thrones viewers, having both of them executed. If they behead Tyrion in this last episode, Martin better get a couple more locks for his door. Let me tell you, it's coming for you.
I don't have any my whole thing is just if Danny dies, I would be fine.
I'm okay with it. And
yeah.
One thing I wanted to touch on was that the Axel miss. One thing I wanted to touch on was that, was it last episode? Yeah, last episode, I was completely against John.
Mm-hmm.
And now this one, I am 100% against Danny.
Well, they did what they wanted.
Yeah, they are. They're playing with my emotions.
They got everybody to switch. I mean,
yep.
Did they have to go to the extent that they did? No. I mean, I guess you could have showed a couple of scenes of her killing civilians, and that would have been enough to turn people. But they got the outcome they wanted. They wanted everybody to be behind John because I have a feeling John's going to end up king.
Yeah, I think that's too simple though. I think there's going to be someone that we don't expect.
It's gonna end up being something. They know people are expecting something.
I'm still calling Tyrion. I'm still calling Tyrion.
And that could happen, but I have a feeling that they know people are so used to these surprises to happen that.
Oh my god! Like the double switcheroo, where they're like, right? Is it gonna be him or some? Yeah, I can see them pulling some.
Yeah,
especially now with these last 2 episodes, some serious shenanigans could be ahead of us.
As long as Danny dies, I'm absolutely good.
What if John kills Danny with her own fucking dragon?
I'm good. I'm 100% good.
Sansa would be an interesting take.
If she dies, it's a successful series finale for me.
Sansa wanted to be queen. Maybe she will.
I don't even think you see her again.
You're fine, man. You don't have to watch it. You can take wild guesses with us. That's what this is all about, man. Theories are fun.
Yeah, I don't even think you see her again.
I really want to see Tormund again. I do.
I don't think you see him again either.
I don't think we do.
Mm-mm.
Well, no, unless they do some sort of like super climactic, like some kind of wedding maybe, or something like that, where like Tormund and Ghost come from the north, and like Sansa comes from the north, and you see Gendry coming from the Vale, or no, from Storm Peak or Storm's End, yeah.
Don't with the marriage between the two. Yes.
Oh no, I don't think Daddy and John are gonna get married. No. You know what? Gendry and Arya.
Oh, since she's had this whole thing where she's, oh, that's a good one. I could.
Gendry and Arya, man.
Danny dying and Arya. This is shaping up to be a fantastic series finale.
Yeah, I love this.
I'm liking this.
Yeah, can we have this show? Can we just have this one?
How about we have John jump on the dragon and turn Danny alive, and the whole rest of the episode is planning for Arya and Gendry's wedding.
Oh, Dracon, they could totally do that, and they could just start a whole new offshoot. Because they keep saying this big thing about Game of Thrones is going to be over. Well, what about War of Thrones?
I mean, honestly, they've already said a show, but they're very tight-lipped about what it's going to be about. So it could be a continuing story. Who knows?
We may get an offshoot. I mean, that's been wildly popular recently.
What would you want to see in series Game of Thrones? What would you want it to be based on? What?
Ask the question again.
So they're saying there is going to be Game of Thrones style in that universe.
Okay.
What would you want to see as the new series? Because they're super tight-lipped about what it's going to be about.
Life above the wall.
See, I'd like that.
I think that'd be really interesting.
I was thinking 3 possibilities. That was one of them. Setting it in Bravos or Pentos or something.
Noth even.
And not even being in
the Seven Kingdoms.
Or Old Valyria.
Trigus is the same thing, but softcore porn version.
Yeah, right.
Dude, that's what you got. What are you talking about?
It is
That was the first
soft-core.
3 seasons.
What were you watching the first 3 seasons? That is like Cinemax After Dark. It's HBO after 9 o'clock.
Right.
But no, I was thinking, yeah, like something over there where you don't even show Westeros. Just stay away from Westeros. That would be
hardcore. I also want to know more about the Ironborn. That's just me.
No, that would be a good one. Focusing on that. Now, the last thing is when the Targaryens first come over from.
Oh yeah, that'd be really good.
Mm-hmm. That way, you're way out of what's going on right now, and it's a brand new series taking place 1,000 years before what we actually see.
I mean, I'm cool with going either way too, way before or afterwards, like 100 years.
The dragon that he rides though is like huge. It's said to be 10 times the size of her she has.
Yeah,
that's insane. That's like freaking. She's got like a destroyer, and he comes in on an aircraft.
Yeah, right. The madness. Okay, so the main madness of the Targaryens was the Mad King, obviously, but it had been in their blood since, honestly, what was it, like 1,200 years prior? Or no, not 1,200 years. They had been incestuous for like, was it like 500 years or something out of their 1,200 year.
It was said that they always married brother to sister.
Right. So the madness was always kind of there, but only one could be king. So
right. In the book, like the first book, there was a line in there that where Dany always thought that she was just going to end up marrying her brother Viserys.
Yep.
And before she married Khal Drogo. So this for almost time that in Westeros, Targaryens married brother to sister to keep that Valyrian blood pure.
And they had control over Westeros for like a millennia, right? Like it was like
1,000 years.
Yeah, it was like a long time.
Yeah. Because that was back when each of the 7 kingdoms actually were 7 separate kingdoms where they had their own king or queen.
Yep. Targaryens brought them all together, made them 7 kingdoms.
And I would love to see it because you hear the stories about how it was the only kingdom to successfully defend against him and his dragons.
Yeah.
And you
like
really
how did they do it?
Exactly. That's what I want to know.
I wonder. Also, you know what I would love to also see? First Men.
Yep.
And the war between the children of nature and man.
That would be a good,
Like why the wall is there. Like I would love to see that.
Because they said it's been all been there.
That just ties right back into the north too, so I'm good with that.
Yeah, because the wall's been there even longer. The Targaryens.
2,000 years or something, right?
Yeah, thousands of years they said.
Oh yeah, was it 2 or was it 10? Like it was some ungodly amount of time.
It was something that I thought it was. I remember hearing that the Night's Watch has manned the wall. Mm-hmm. So I'm almost thinking it's been thousands of years that they manned the wall.
Yeah.
So maybe the wall was there before the
Sorry, Panda. We're diving deep into theories at this point, though. That's the whole point of it.
Well, we're talking about possible spin-off shows.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are now at 2 hours, so.
Okay, and I think this went over.
Yeah, I think we pushed this one a little bit, but fuck this episode. I'm over it.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens next week. But thank you all for being here. We are loving this. I'm loving this. I'm having a great time with it. If you guys want to see more like different shows and whatnot, let us know. We're basically open to all suggestions that we have. I want to keep it to things we haven't watched yet, so we have to make sure that.
Absolutely, that would make it so much better. Yeah, I'm down for that.
Okay, well, keep an eye on it. I know that Stranger Things was potentially on the board for discussion.
That's one, but I think we also talked about that's going to be a difficult one because I know
it would be a summation of all of it.
Yeah, your wife and my wife are wanting to it as soon as it comes out, so there's no real surprise per episode. So, but we can take suggestions.
Well, let's actually put a poll up this time, and we'll go through it.
Since we're so close to the end, we
got a week to figure out what's
it.
next.
Yeah. So, like I said, I thought it would be cool. 2 ideas on shows we haven't seen. 2 ideas, and we'll put it out there.
You're cutting out like every other word. You're like, oh, we were like, and then we could do that.
I gotta go back and redo my. I just re-put together my PC. It was disconnected and all that. I gotta check connections.
No worries, man. You'll get it. But it's a good time. I think we should. Yeah, we're at 2 hours exactly now. Thank you all for being here. Anyone who's watching in the future, we appreciate you stopping in and talking to us. I hope you leave some theories for us. What do you think of our theories? Let's start a discussion. And then we'll obviously be back next week to talk about the final episode. And hopefully it won't piss us off as much as this one did.
I hope so. Fingers crossed.
Also, I never finished that outro that I was going to finish that. Oops. I said
it's on par. It's on par for what we do.
Right, exactly. All right, well, thank you guys for being here. You're awesome.
Great
I hope
ideas.
we have a fantastic week, and we will see you on Tuesday, the final episode, season 8, episode 6. Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Have a good night, everyone. Farewell. It's Bob the Butchers. Dwarvian.
Have a good one.
Farewell.